invited to come onto this call again. Some of you know me, some of you don't. For those of you that I don't know very well, I'd just like to say you may want to know me after this, and then again, you may not. However, in saying that, what I'd like to be able to say first off is that today is my anniversary. I've been married for 27 years today, and yeah, thank you for that, Jerry. I think I'm very, very blessed to be able to say that my wife still loves me very much. And so I said to her at, I believe, 3 o'clock today, oh, by the way, I'm doing a call tonight at 8 o'clock. And she said, oh, and I said, yes, and here she is. So, Bridgie, welcome to the call. I knew that she'd come on eventually and say hi. So it's our anniversary. Say, happy anniversary, David and Bridget, and that'll be a great way to get started.
Happy anniversary, David.
Happy anniversary,
and
David
Bridget,
and Bridget.
lovely to have you join us.
Thank you.
That is such a lovely thing.
Guys.
Thank you, thank you. Now, I wasn't fishing for a compliment then or anything like that to say the fact that it was 27 years.
Yes, you were.
But you didn't say you still love her.
Oh, she knows that I do.
I know.
So do you know that I do, Bridgie? Okay. That's, thank goodness for that. So the reason for the call tonight is that I have been asked to talk about something which is called the Team Code of Honor. Now, what that is something that is very, very dear to my heart and something that is very dear to anybody that is an entrepreneur, I would assume. However, we need to break it down and find out what we think that actually is, because I know what it is for me, but I know that for everyone else, it might be something completely different. So with your permission, I'm very happy for you all to actually unmute, because I'm going to make this an interactive focus, because we're going to find out what each other thinks it is. And if there's anyone that wants to put anything in the chat, they're welcome to do that as well. If you are muted, you can just press your space bar and that will actually allow you to speak at that point in time. But the first thing is, let's work out what's a code. Who knows what a code is? Who wants to share what their thought of code means?
I would say it's not a set of rules, because we don't like the word rules, but maybe an agreement that people of a similar belief or something like that, or similar set of values all agree to.
Okay, thank you. That's great. Who else has an idea of what they believe a code is? Tara, have you got any idea?
Document.
So, sorry, is that the loiterer talking?
Yeah, it's the worker. A code will be documented clearly.
Will be documented.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. What do you mean by that, Alistair? Give us an example of what you mean by that.
It's not subject to confusion and different perspectives. It's in black and white, so i.e. it's codified.
Okay, thank you very much. Tara, have you got something you wanted to add on to that as well?
Yeah, it's a set of expectations and guidelines for behaviour and conduct, way we behave and how we expect things to be delivered, or outcomes, all those
outcomes as well. Wow, great. Thank you. Now that's all in code, is it? That's everybody. This is interesting. So we've all got very different perspectives on this. Some of the things actually cross over into each other. Some of them actually are completely different. So, somebody, Jerry said that it's not a set of rules. However, if we think back to the very first set of rules that were created, let's just think back how far back we can go. Oh, Bridgie, I'm sorry. I didn't ask Bridgie. What's your concept on code?
Okay. Well, interestingly enough, I actually looked up the definition of code. And it's actually quite interesting. It says a system of words, letters, figures, or symbols used to represent others, especially for the purpose of secrecy.
Secrecy.
So
the Da Vinci Code.
My take on that is it's like the underlying beliefs of, let's say, if we're working in a team, a group of people that have aligned themselves with their unique code.
The unique code.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bridgie. Annie, have you got something you want to add, or are you still feeding? I'll come back to you in a few moments. Thank you. So with regard to that, all of those things are absolutely correct. Luke, did you have anything you wanted to pipe in with? Your concept of code.
You can hear me okay now?
Yeah. Yes, you're perfect.
Yeah, excellent.
That booming God voice.
Booming God. Just a set of agreed upon principles that are, you know, honest and down to earth, and principles that we can agree to disagree, and not harbour any ill feeling and move on, no matter the outcome. That's our sort of code, a company code. Yeah.
Thank you. That's great. So each person would have their own code for their own specific company as well. I've got a code for my salon. I've got a code for the sports that I do, and for when I was doing martial arts, that's called a code. We've got different forms of football. There's soccer, there's rugby, there's Aussie rules. They're all called a code, aren't they? So when we think about that, as we all said, it's something that brings everyone together. It's something that has a set of principles, a set of values, as Tara said, that will bind you together in a like-minded concept, a like-minded direction, you might say. So it's something that's going to drive you forward. And also, even though Jerry doesn't like the word rules, it could be considered a set of rules. Now, the very first documented set of rules that I learned of, and I might be very, very different to everyone else, they might have learnt about it in other areas, but whoever went to a church or to a synagogue or to a Buddhist temple or anything like that.
I was going to say the 10 Commandments.
The 10 Commandments, great, Jerry. Are they rules?
Yeah, yeah.
They are probably rules, aren't
Well,
they?
the expectations of behaviour, at least.
They are expectations of behaviour, but some of them were really very, very specific, and some of them were expectations. Like, let's talk about the ones that were very specific. Thou shalt not, what?
Sleep with your neighbour or something?
Yeah, covet your neighbour. That was one of them. That's not the first one I was thinking of. There are a couple of slightly more.
Murder.
Thou shalt not kill. That's the first one. That's great. You know, I think that was number one. And then there was thou shalt not steal. Now, they're very specific directives, aren't they? Are they rules?
Well, they're laws.
They're laws. They are laws.
Did they become laws before or after?
Oh, I don't know. Some guy came down a big mountain with lots of big, heavy rocks, and that's what was written on them. And that's what he took it to the people, and they said, this is the word of the Lord. Now, this is not an evangelical event. This is just talking about code. We've been going on a code for about 12 minutes already, or 10 minutes. So when we think about that, there's a lot more involved. But then there's other ones which are less directive. Things like honor thy father and thy mother. That's one of the original 10 Commandments as well. Don't covet thy neighbor. Neighbor? Oh, neighbor. Don't covet thy neighbor. So don't covet thy neighbor. So what that means is don't look at somebody else. And what does covet mean? Does anyone know what the word covet means? I can't believe that I'm teaching this stuff. I don't know where it's come from.
Covet is it's a bit like the first word that comes to mind is curse or be jealous of.
It actually means wish for or long for or desire.
That's right. And so it can see now both of those things are correct. And they're both.
Isn't it with a negative connotation though? Isn't that what it's in the actual 10 Commandments? Isn't that what it's got a more negative connotation to it?
I think it means don't desire your neighbour either, because you will upset.
That's exactly right.
Actually desire the neighbour.
And so that's where, as I said to Bridgie on our card, I'm a one-horse cart. I'm a one-horse cart, so I'm always that way. I'm just that way inclined. However, when we look at that and we look at the different principles, some of these things are a lot more directive and some of them are a lot looser as such. So they're not as directive. So, you know, they're going to bind a group together. This is all still about code. And if you're looking at mindset, they also, as Luke said, they can also exclude somebody, because you may have a group of people that have got one specific code. But if a guy comes up and is holding a football, as in an Aussie rules footy, but he goes onto a soccer pitch, is he going to be allowed to play with that ball? No, so he's being excluded from that. So if you look at it from that aspect as well, it's going to be something that can be inclusive or it could be exclusive. It can be something that somebody will come up and, as Luke says, you know, mate, I don't want to work with that. That's not what I want to do, and just walk away. So it can actually create no ill feeling as well. It's just another concept of boundaries. How many of you would agree with that? It's a boundary. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
Yep.
Let's talk about honor. What does honor mean to you? Annie, do you want to share with that? No, okay.
Still eating.
It's behaving in a honourable way.
Yeah,
In
I was
an
going to say, you want to say
honourable way.
honourable.
Yeah. And what is it now? Let's just think of, just before we go on with that, Annie. That's very, very true. Who just died yesterday?
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery. Everybody put on your best Sean Connery accent or your best Sean Connery voice.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
That's
I
a
want to
pretty
hear
good
your
accent,
Sean
David.
Connery. Hey?
Just want to go have a red wine.
Not starting.
Not starting. So anyway, Sean Connery. How many of you would agree that Sean Connery was a man of honour? Perhaps in the roles that he played and that he showed.
I didn't know the bloke personally, but you know.
From what you know of him, Luke, you know, when we look
And
at
he's
the
been
movies
married
that
to
he
the
was in,
same woman
James Bond.
for
He was a womanizer.
75.
He turned up on set, did his job. The movies got made. You know, he was honourable in his contract.
He was honourable in his contract. Whoever saw him as King Arthur?
Oh, I did. Yeah, a bit. Yeah, saw a bit of that.
So
Yeah.
let's think of, you know, there's different sorts of honour. There's the knightly honour. Do you know what I mean by knightly? Did anyone of you see the just off topic for a second, out frame? Did any of you see the meme that came up? I'd like to book a room for 2 nights, and then it pans around and there's 2 knights standing at the counter. No, anyway, that was funny. My dad sent that to me. It was very funny. It made me giggle. So look, there's the concept of honour. What about integrity?
Well,
What
that's all
about
part of it. Honesty, integrity, fairness.
honesty, integrity, fairness? What
Respect.
else?
Respect and respect, yeah.
Respect, fantastic. Now, what about if you you know, is your word is law? Is that an honourable thing? How many of you have heard that before? My word is law.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, you mentioned the concept of respect as well. Now, is that something that is just given, or is it something that needs to be earned?
It's
And
earned.
I think.
Okay, so you know, when we look at all these things, there's lots of doingness. There's lots of beingness that you need to have when it comes to having honour, to be bestowed upon you, or to be given, or to be earned. It can be something, you know, let's think of the other people that may have been less honourable. You know, somebody that
I think we could
might
all
be
think of someone right now in this state, couldn't we?
we could go politicking, or we could look at other areas as well. So looking at the concept of each of these things have a shadow side. Yes, Bridget.
I'd probably say honour starts with yourself first.
Honour who would agree with that?
Mm.
Honour starts with self. Great. Why?
Because how you treat yourself is very reflective on how, first of all, how you treat others, and then how others actually treat you.
Great, thank you. How many would agree with that statement?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Now
an
I'm
old
going to
saying,
throw
you can't
throw
give what you
something
haven't
into the pot with that. How many people are immense nurturers in the group? How many people love to look after other people?
That's why they call me the nurture queen.
Excellent. So as the nurture queen, do you always look after yourself, or do you look after others better?
I look after others better.
Okay, so and you know, from them, if we look at what Bridget just said, the way you look after yourself is a reflection of how you're going to look after others. Does that mean you're not looking after them well? Because you're looking after others better than you're looking after yourself. Hi, Jesse. There's my son. That's what happens after 22 years of 22 years ago in marriage. You get a big outcome like that. How are you, young man? You good? So, you know, I'm just looking at throwing another spanner in the works. When we look at that and what Bridgie said, if you're going to be looking after yourself worse than you look after others, are you able to still nurture them better? Interesting concept, hey?
Yes and no. Yeah, that's a good.
Yes and no. So it's just, I'm not looking at, that's not my outcome and that's not my belief. However, it's a very common factor of people that nurture. Now, I'm a big nurturer. I nurture people all day, every day. But do I go to the gym every day to look after myself? No. Do I have the intention to exercise every day? Yes. Do I do it every day?
My question around that is that might not be nurturing you. How each person nurtures themselves might be different.
That's correct.
So for
That's
Jerry,
exactly it.
it's education and learning, nurturing herself. It might not be in the way that you see it as nurturing yourself.
That's exactly it. And that's where the code of honor, thank you, Tara, that's fantastic, because it's a great segue for where I want to take this next. The concept of a code of honor, when you have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1,000 people working with you within your business, and everybody has their own take on it, what happens?
Everyone does their own thing.
A lot of times that occurs. So
Yeah.
that's why we need to have a code of honor that is created. Where from? Where do you think, who do you think needs to create the code of honor for your business?
The leader.
The leader. Yep, from yourself. And so if you want to lead, who's heard the saying lead by
Example.
example? You guys are great. You guys know how to play this game very, very well. I mean, just want to give yourselves a clap. Seriously,
I'll
give
give you
yourselves
a big thumbs up, David.
because not a thumbs up. All right.
Look at my
you can
giant
put the thumb
thumb.
up on the screen as well. You know, or they've got it's just a single clap. Justin used to do that, didn't he, Annie? Yeah, he'd say, everyone give yourselves a clap, and you just get a clap. So, you know, you can have that as well. So I'm looking at that and looking at the concept of a code of honor. The best way to be able to create a code of honor. Now, Annie and I were introduced years and years ago by one of our mentors by the name of Blair Singer. Have any of you heard of Blair Singer before? Fantastic. Bridget and I, it's actually Bridget's fault. It's your fault, Bridget, that I met Blair Singer in 1992, because she's the one that went to that bloody program called Money and You and said, if you don't go to that program, I'm not going to marry you. So 27 years later, this is the result. And we're still talking about, I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying to find the right angle to show you.
You need to get it closer to your body. There you are. Yeah.
On the black.
Team Code of
Honor.
Yeah.
This is a book that Blair wrote in 19 something or other. When was it first written? 2012, as I said, 19 something or other. And he wrote that in regard to looking for the secrets of champions in business and in life. So do you think that you need to have a code of honor for yourself if you're going to try and create a code of honor for others? How many of you would believe that to be a true statement?
Yeah.
We probably all do, but don't realize we do.
Say that again, Tara, sorry.
We probably all do, but we don't realize we do.
What do you mean by that?
Well, we do. We live by our values to some extent, not everyone all the time, but that is our code of honor, living our values and what's important to us.
Fantastic. I agree. How many of you would agree with Tara? Let's give her the clap.
Give you a clap.
What's it like to get the clap, Tara?
This clap would.
Okay. Now, how many of you don't like to be told what to do? How many of you like direction?
I like a bit of direction.
Excellent. And how many of you like to be the director? Yeah? Bridgie's a great director. Luke, I would imagine you're a good director too. Now, everybody needs to be able to, in my opinion, be able to have the ability to be in each of those roles, because that would make a great team player, in my opinion. Now, the concept of this is that it's a team code of honor. You can have your own individual, which you're going to be working for yourself to be able to keep things in the right process for yourself, to keep you in check, to keep you in the ability to be able to move forward in what you're trying to do. However, on the other hand, if you're not keeping yourself in check, is it easy for you to keep others in check in your team?
That's a good point. That's worth exploring in any team environment.
But this leads back to what you're saying here, reminds me back to what we were discussing last week around leadership and management, because if you tend to be more directing other people all the time, you tend to be more of a manager. A leader can swap between these roles probably more easily than a manager who doesn't know how to lead.
Great. Thank you for that. See, I wasn't on board last week. I didn't get to see Ross's call, and I know that I need to go back and actually review it because Annie said, this is a great follow on from that. And I don't know what the hell he said. So I'm just giving you what I've, believe it or not, there's a book that was given to me in 1994 by a friend called Harry Brewhouse, who actually met at Money and You. And he was a person that gave me this book for a haircut. I cut his hair and he handed me a book, and it was called Napkin Notes. Now it's a wonderful, wonderful book. I wish I actually brought Bridgie. Can you grab that for me? It's on the it's in the bookshelf under the window in the bedroom. Napkin Notes. Thank you. Now, what happened with this book is that he gave it to me and he said, David, if ever you're going to do a presentation, all you need is a napkin. And guess what?
He's right.
After Annie said to me on Saturday night, on Sunday morning, I was out for breakfast, or I went out for coffee and a bagel with our girlfriend Rita. And I sat down, I said, I've got to do a talk tomorrow night on code of honor. And she said, what's a code? What's honor? And I just wrote down these notes. And so I have all of that here in my napkin. This is going to be the thing that I keep for probably the rest of my life. How many of you have ever written something down on a napkin that's become your code? That's become your presentation.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool how that happens. Or you've done a quote like that, Luke. You've gone out and you've just scribbled up a bloody quote on a thing that's turned into a $10,000 job.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
These sorts of things can happen all the time. Which is
Wasn't something really famous written on a napkin once or something? Like something that turned out to be...
Was it Kiyosaki's book? Was there a conversation he had at a coffee shop or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
I was going to say music. How many wicked songs have been scrolled down on a napkin and said, there you go, it's yours.
Yep. That's exactly right. Or pictures, Salvador Dali gave somebody a picture that was sold at auction for multiple millions of dollars on a napkin. Imagine if John Lennon gave you a piece of paper or a napkin. Would you have kept that? Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes. So Annie, tell me, what's your take on code of honor? Would you like to share just those 3 words together, what does it mean to you?
For me, it's, I'm very, I understand this topic, but it's a set of rules that protects the values and, I can't come up with the word right now. Please give me a moment.
Yep.
The word that comes right now, it's enforces.
Yes.
Enforces the behavior of an individual or a team.
Yep. Fantastic. So something that Blair always said is that his code of honor, he's got a code of honor for himself. He's got a code of honor for his family, for his wife and him to start with, and then for his kids as well. Now, some of the rules that he's always had in each of his different teams is, number 1, you should never leave a teammate in need, right? You never leave somebody in the lurch. You're always there to help them. How many of you have that in your team? All right, so you're not going to let somebody flounder. You'll be there to support them no matter what. Now, that can be in different ways. That might be in the fact that you have to give them a hug, and give them a pat on the back and say, there. Or it might be that you need to give them a massive kick up the arse. It's still love.
Yep.
How many of you agree with that?
Yeah, it might point them in the right direction.
That's right. And sometimes you need to give them a massive push in the right direction because they may not be able to go somewhere that they don't want to go because it'll be something that's holding them back. Now, that comes down to a leader, being a nurturer, being somebody that's willing to do what they're asking somebody else to do as well. Now, I would never ask somebody to do something that I would never do myself. How many of you have that as one of your personal rules? I'm not going to send my kids out to pick up.
It depends on the strengths, though. I don't disagree with it, but
if it's something one of my skill strengths and I can see it is in there, then
I send my husband to kill spiders. Yeah.
To kill spiders?
Yeah, otherwise you'll be killed. Well, that's what you think. So there you go. Maybe it's perception. That's right.
Yeah,
well, there is certain things that I employ people to do that
Sure.
I won't do myself. Yeah,
But
and
you would
that's
never
not.
ask someone to do something against your values, though, would you, Luke?
No, so
So
life
there you go.
threatening. Yeah, but we're talking like, yeah, like, okay, step out on this ledge, you do it because I pay you to, but I won't. Nah, like,
No,
yeah,
but
you're right.
we're talking about things like your bookkeeping. You've got a bookkeeper because they actually like doing that, or you've got
That's
a
right.
lawyer
Yeah,
because they're the sorts of things that are great. But if you could do that sort of thing, you would do it as well.
yeah.
But there are experts that are good at it, and being a leader is very, very different to being a manager, because a manager would often try and push somebody into doing something,
Yeah.
whereas a person that has leadership and potential foresight might actually go searching for the right people for the right position.
So this is what we talked about with Ross last week. So yeah, you're spot on.
All right. And so,
Yeah.
yes, Annie.
However, what we are talking about now is not about who does what and the leadership. It's about what holds a team tight together. And when David said, don't leave any
teammate in need
behind,
Mm-hmm.
that means is that the owner of the business or the leader of that department or whatever, if you create the code of honor, then everybody comes together when the shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, I almost said,
go on.
yeah. No, but this is your show, and I was going to say.
No, I actually invited you to share. So please share. This is an open discussion, everybody. You remember that's the way I do things.
Yeah.
I'm not here to give you my wisdom. I'm here to actually extract it from you, because you guys already know this shit. It's just a matter of putting it out there and saying, hey guys, this is what it's about. And how does it work for you? How can we learn from each other to be able to then, now this is part of, when Tara said earlier on, Jerry loves education and she loves to be able to share that sort of thing. This is what this is all about. I share that value, and I want to share that value with everybody. And so I do that all the time, and I bring it out. But it's not about me extolling my virtues onto you. It's about you being able to share yours and me taking yours. And it becomes this flow, this dance between 7 people on the call now, and hopefully 7,000 people out in woo-woo land. Hey, speaking of woo-woo land, did you guys see my post the other day about the sky train?
Yes.
About the train in the sky?
Yes.
5 o'clock in the morning on, what morning was it? Wednesday morning, last week, Thursday morning. I got out, the dog was barking, needing to go out, and I looked up in the eastern sky, and there was these lights. It looked like a train on top of the stacks in Chicago, just flying past. And it was silent. There was no sound. And it was this train. It would have been 100 meters long. Well, about that long. But it was in the sky way up there. And I didn't know what it was. And
Was
all of
it
a
a
sudden I
UFO?
went, hey?
Was it a UFO?
Well, that's what I thought to start with. I thought, we are not alone. That's the first song that came to my head. I found out afterwards just by asking Louise, my staff member, who knows everything because she just goes to Google. Stars in the
Fake
sky.
news, mate. Yeah. What do they say? Chemtrails and flat Earth, and then they just start working on the algorithms. Bury yourself underground. End of the world. Buy gold,
no,
silver, etc.
I didn't do that. I looked at the dog and I said, "Look at that." And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I looked at him, and he looked at me, and then he went back inside again. That was it. And I went inside, and I thought, "What was that?" I got a photo, which was amazing. I didn't understand what it was. And supposedly Elon Musk has created this chain of satellites that's circumnavigating the world to assist with super fast internet. Isn't that cool?
What he says? Oh, I don't know. Sounds a bit
I don't
AI
know.
to me, mate.
So getting back to our
It's
team
the
code of
alien
honor,
circling us.
there's a big team up there. Somebody's up there looking after us as well, supposedly. So with that in mind, how do you guys want to create your team code of honor or your personal code of honor? What are some of the things that you think would be very important for, let's just get a set of values. Let's just write down, I'm just going to ask everyone to share 2 values. All right, so Luke, would you like to go first?
Yeah, we've got a set of company values, but I mean, there's, what is it? Well, there's 6, yeah, but
I want 2.
all right, you want 2. So growth, that's one of ours. Embrace change and encourage growth. That's one of ours.
The change and growth.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to summarize it if that's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Give Luke the clap. Excellent. Who's next? Just call it out.
Contribution and love and connection.
Contribution, love and connection. Thank you, Annie. Give Annie the clap. Excellent. Love and connection. Who else wants to share? Let's just get 10 all together. So I've
You're
got
talking
4.
values, yeah.
Yes, Tara. What are your couple of your personal values?
Self-trust. I mean, one of my highest ones is growth also, but trust and peace. Self-trust.
Trust and peace.
Or-
As in P-I-E-C-E?
No, P-E-A-C-E.
Oh, just checking. You know, that's great. All right, everybody, let's give Tara the clap. Jerry, your go. Ms. Nurturer.
Yeah, nurturing is one of my values.
so. Yes.
Integrity is another one. Relationships.
That'll do. Thank you. Relationships. Let's give Jerry the clap, everybody. 1, 2, 3. Got the clap. All right. Alistair, you still there?
Yep. Support.
Support. One more.
What hasn't been said?
Whatever you want.
Peace.
Peace. Thank you. All right. Let's give Alistair the clap, even though he can't see us. Let's do a silent one. Did you hear that, buddy?
Beautiful. I felt it.
Oh, excellent. Bridgie, have you got something?
Yes, I do.
What are they?
Courage and communication.
Thank you. And thank you. All right, let's give Bridgie the clap. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. So I've got a list here of growth, change, contribution, love and connection, trust, peace, nurturing, integrity, relationships, support, peace again from Alistair, courage and communication. So if they were going to be our 10 different things, I want you to each choose a word that was different from the ones that you actually said. And I want you to come up with what that means to you. All right. So do you want me to actually, you know what? I'm going to give you 4. Have you each got a pen and paper in front of you?
I can't
And
write.
responsibility.
All right. So what I want you to do is I want you to write down, I'm going to give you a minute to write down what your belief or what your understanding is of integrity, courage, contribution, and love and connection. All right, ready? Go. 1 minute. I'll sing songs to you in the meantime if you want. So just what they mean to you, those 4 words.
Not really.
Bum ba dum bum, blankety blanks, dunk da dunk dunk, bum ba dum bum, boom boom boom, boom boom boom, boom boom.
That's not helping.
Not helping?
No.
Boom ba dum boom. This is what life is, guys. There's noise out there. Dum da dum boom, boom ba dum boom, boom ba dum boom, boom 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 boom, ba dum boom. Boom, boom, boom.
I should be doing the singing because I can't write. You should have written.
That's all right. I'm still going to ask you what you got. You got 20 seconds left, guys. Who needs more time? You reckon you got it? All right.
Yep.
So another 15 seconds. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Alistair, can you come on the screen for us for this section? If you would. You don't have to, but I'd like you to if you would. Bum, ba-dum, bum.
That would require him putting some pants on.
I don't mind if he hasn't got pants on. I've seen Alistair with no pants on before.
Okay.
We
All
don't
right,
need to know
guys,
the
finish
details,
up.
David.
That's another session. Right.
Yeah.
Finishing up. All righty, great. Thank you very, very much. All right, so who wants to tell us what their meaning of the word courage is, please?
To be brave.
Being
Action in
brave.
spite of fear.
Pardon, Alistair, I didn't hear that because I couldn't see you.
Action in spite of fear.
Action in spite of fear. Thank you. Anyone else?
Going where no man will go.
Mm.
No other man will go.
Or woman.
Oh,
Sorry. I wasn't checking.
Person.
You asked me.
Other-
I'm
a
sorry.
person
man.
would go. All
My
right, thank
bad.
you. Excellent. So far we've got 3 completely different things. Let's go on to the next word. Unless Annie, you want to share what yours was of courage,
Mine,
if you like.
just doing stuff despite fear.
Thank you. Thank you. That's great.
Or stepping out of your comfort zone.
Stepping out of your comfort
I like
zone.
that. I like that.
Okay.
Nice, Annie.
Do you want to know what mine is?
Yeah.
Mm.
Being silent.
Yeah, a lot of people, that's brave
Oh.
to do that.
Oh, everyone give Alistair the wave.
Oh, not the clap?
No, the wave, because it's just come on.
Welcome, Alistair.
Welcome,
Put his
Alistair. Thank you
pants
for
on.
coming on.
Funny, mate.
Okay, Audio X. I don't know what Audio X is. So that's mine. And I can explain why I actually feel that. It's because my tongue is often ready to run. And who knows what I mean by saying, I'd come back. Alistair, stay, don't go away. That'll be sideways. That's good. Thank you. All right. So with that in mind, so this is one of my rules. I actually like everybody to be on the screen when I do a program, because it means I get to see that they're actually here and present. A lot of people won't actually ask for that to happen. How many of you think that takes courage? Because Alistair could tell me just to get what?
Lost.
Fluffed and just get off the call. And a lot of people do that. How many of you have actually had an example where you've approached somebody and asked them to do something that may put them out of their comfort zone? I know Alistair's not uncomfortable in being on screen. I know he's just tired. Is that right? That's my explanation.
Call it out soft.
Yeah. All right. So with that in mind, by actually having the courage to call somebody on their behavior, so they will fit within your set of rules. How many of you have ever had somebody on a staff meeting, especially during Zoom, during the Zoomies, during the times when we've had to be on Zoom all the time, and they're not there? You don't know if they're present. Have you had that occur?
Yeah.
Well, a fair bit, yeah.
That's right. Well, guess what? What would happen if you actually say, guys, as of now, as of this week on Friday, when we're having our staff meeting, if you're not on the Zoom call, you're not on the call. If you're not on the call, I'm not paying you for that hour. How many of them would be on the call?
They would.
Well, they'd make sure of it, I'm sure.
Well, let's say on the call to Fair Work.
On the call. Yeah, that's great. No, but I'm just saying that if you're trying to actually set, thank you, Luke. I got the boom tish on that. That was good. So if we're looking at it from that scenario, and you become that clear, that is how a code of honor is going to save you within the team. How many of you have ever seen that responsibility flip chart? It says where people are in denial to start with, and then they're going to lay blame, and then they're going to justify. But when somebody comes from the being of responsibility, staying that they're coming from being personally responsible for their role within a team, or for their role within a relationship, or for their role within themselves, they don't have anyone to blame anymore. They don't have the ability to justify. All of a sudden, somebody's going to then be able to come up and say, hey, I'm calling you on this behavior. It's not me. I'm not telling you off. You said you were going to be responsible. It says here that you agreed to be responsible. Are you being responsible, yes or no?
But that's an easier conversation. And that's the thing, when you call it out in a group environment, it can be very confronting. And I think some things should be called out very direct, so it sets the message straight to everybody there and then. But there's also those conversations that you need to have, one-on-one, where, you're nurturing, you're supporting others. But when those individual conversations and reprimands, so to speak, aren't supported by the values or the code of honour, then it's a hodgepodge, discussion. It's like, well, I thought you'd do this, and they're like, well, I thought I'd do this, and there's nothing to hedge it
That's
against.
right.
So it's very important.
So that's where the
to have that up front.
expectations comes back. Thank you, Luke. I think that's
Yeah.
great. So that's where the expectations comes back that Tara mentioned earlier on. You know, it's a set of expectations that you may have. But we had 5 different versions of what the bloody word courage is. How do you set the idea where everybody comes together? Do you want to know how you do it?
Well, you'd have to.
I'm going to
outline
come back
this-
to that. I'm going to come back to that. I'm not going to tell you the answer.
In
yet.
1 minute, if you're going to finish by 8:45.
That's all right. I've got my timer here.
Oh, well done.
I'm going to ask for an extra 10 minutes. Bridgie's on the call. I could ask her permission. So, contribution. What did you write for contribution? Alistair, what did you write for contribution?
Let me just.
You're on mute.
I'm just going to unmute his phone because maybe
Okay,
he's
thank you.
maybe he's
Well, while we're unmuting and doing the technical stuff, who else has their thing on contribution? What does contribution mean to you? I'm not going to go through all 4, by the way, because we are time poor here. Annie, contribution?
Making someone else's life better.
Thank you. Fantastic. Anyone else? Contribution?
Playing your part, doing your role.
Playing your part, doing your role. Thank you. Who else?
Well, giving for the greater benefit, not for self benefit.
Not for self-benefit. Great. Thank you.
yeah. Giving was my word too. Like just being a contributor, just someone who keeps giving and giving.
Okay. Thank you. Alistair?
Our contribution is offering something to someone else.
Excellent. Thank you. That's 5 different things again. Bridgie, have you got something for contribution?
The word unconditional comes to mind.
Thank you. Excellent. So 6 different things. Everyone's got a completely different thing. So I asked the question, how do we bring that together? How do you bring it together? You need to come to consensus in your team.
Creating the code. You enroll the team in creating the code together.
That's exactly it, Alistair. That's exactly what I was going to say. What you do is you need to do it in discussion. Do you need to have, as the leader, how many of you feel you need to have an, look, I've got 3 hands. If I put my head right there, does it look like I have antlers?
Yes.
Isn't that great?
Fantastic.
I look like a reindeer. Can you see that, Bridge?
You
I'm
are
a
right
reindeer.
now.
Somebody pointed that out to me earlier on today when I was on another call. They said, you look like a reindeer. I said, thank you very much. So, with that in mind, the way that you do it is by bringing everyone together in discussion. But do you have to have an outcome in mind as to what your belief is that that word would mean? How many of you would agree with that?
As a leader, for sure.
As a leader, for sure.
Mm.
However, how many times have you ever gone fishing, as I call it? I'm fishing all the time here. I've been asking, how many of you notice I ask a lot of questions?
Yeah.
All right. Now, what happens with that? Does it piss you off?
No.
No, it doesn't, because it's actually interactive. It creates a concept of discussion. It's opening up your minds because you might have a better answer than me. And if you've got the better answer than me, I go, oh, shit, that's good. I'm going to take that and I'm going to put that into my code of honor. All right, because the brilliance is in you. It's not in me. So when I think of it like that, and when I show it like that, it comes up with the concept of what can we all put together as a collective? How can we all create something that we will all get our teeth stuck into? Because that time, when the time comes, Luke, that you need to have that discussion and point up here to the word responsibility, everybody is pointing to that word. And you don't have to be the person that has those hard conversations, because Annie will have that conversation with Bridget on your behalf, because they're all pulling it together. They're all living up to what that means. They're living up to the better good. They're trying to contribute to make everything else better for other people. And it also means, Jerry, that when you've got your team coming around, you don't have to be the giver and the giver and the giver all the time, because everyone else will be coming and giving. Sorry, Tara?
It's a true element of teamwork then, isn't it?
That's exactly it. But how often, you know, if a team's not working, whose fault is it?
The leader.
It's the leader.
No.
It is.
No,
There's no
I
bad
don't believe
teams.
that.
There's only bad leaders. 110%.
I I don't agree that it's the leader. This is just my belief. Whose belief? Everyone point at me and say your belief, David.
Your belief.
My belief. It's not there are bad leaders. How many have experienced bad leaders? How many of them have been a bad leader? 2 hands up for me.
Yeah.
Right? I've been a bad leader in the past. However, when it comes to the concept of everyone having ownership of that code of honor, having a part in that code of honor, and creating the rules collectively, do you think they're going to want to hold them up? Do you think they're going to want to hold those 10 commandments and be strong and proud of them? How many of you want your team to be proud of what you stand for? Because it's not what you stand for, it's what they stand for as a team. Does that make sense?
It does, but I've seen situations, and I know I can come from a perspective of kids in classrooms. Take it, where classrooms these days have this code of conduct, as they call it, more than an honor, but it's just a very similar thing. But it's a tokenism, and there's some leaders that do this too, and I think that's probably where Luke and I are coming from. You see this as a tokenism thing where it's already been decided. They're just trying to get you to agree to it. It's not really that you have any buy-in on it or any contribution to it. But, you know, it's just this tokenism to get people to actually feel like they have a buy-in. But they don't really have any power.
Yeah.
I understand.
And it is a grey area, like I feel, that to command respect and maintain, you know, synchronicity throughout a team, it needs to happen, because, I mean, without that, and you can have all the values in the world, you can agree on all the rules, but if you don't have that respect and maintain that synchronicity, it really comes down to us. And this is from my point of view of being extreme ownership. So someone can cock it up completely bad, and it comes down to me taking ownership of that situation. Yeah.
Yep.
Because the buck stops with me.
Sure it does.
At the end of the day,
who else agrees that as a leader, the buck stops with you?
It does all the time, yeah.
Yep. However, in saying that, and Annie, I'm going to come to you in a second. I know you've got something that's itching. In saying that, if you have somebody where everything is coming back to you, how does it fall back onto the responsibility of others? How can you hold your values or your code of honor to a stronger standing? Because that's where I said as well before, that's where the team will start to hold it in good stead for you. And your job as the leader should, and I'm saying should with great big inverted commas, everyone do this for me like rabbit ears. That's very funny. I wish I could record this. Everyone doing their rabbit ears.
We are recording it.
Oh, fantastic. Everyone doing their rabbit ears. This is where you should be able to make your life as the leader easier. Because what with two of us came up, Alistair and Tara came up with the one word that is really, really important to me. It's one of my major values as well. Do you remember what it was?
Peace, was it?
Peace. That's right. How many of you would love to have a peaceful workplace?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that comes from people taking responsibility and ownership.
Doesn't it?
Without taking control.
But they don't need to take control because everybody knows what they're meant to do. And when somebody's falling down, there's going to be somebody that's coming to lift them up and to help them until they're stable again.
Contribute.
And then they can go back. It all comes down to contribution. I think we've had a wonderful call so far, but Annie had something to say. I'd love to know what it is, darling. Darling.
Yeah, darling. The whole thing here is about empowerment. So when you empower your people to share what is really, truly important to them and how they bring those gifts to the team, and then as a team, so everybody brings in their values, and then as a unit, you create the values for the company. Mm-hmm. Then you create the code of honor based around those values that will uphold and keep it safe, like in a thing, like locked up, like in a bank, right? So then when it's written down, everybody agreed. And then you go, is anybody else that doesn't agree? right? So you trash it out until everybody is happy. But what that creates, nobody has really experienced that. If you really think about it, a meeting where even the janitor and the mailman and the managing director, they're all sitting at one table as a unit, because you're all the same, you just have different positions, that's all. So then what the whole thing is that you bring these people together and you empower them. So the question here is, do you think that those people will be loyal to you and want to come to work when they have such level of empowerment and respect from the owner and a leader? And then when you also empower them with their percentage, because if you have 10 people in a company, everybody has what percentage of responsibility within the company?
Well, that
100.
depends, but you could say 10% each.
Yeah.
100% each.
No, so it's 10% because the unit is 100%. So there's 10 people, so for maths, would do 10%. Now, each individual is responsible 100% to their 10%. So whatever their job description is, and they got to play full out to do their job. But what happens in a lot of companies is people shove things onto people and go, yeah, I'll do it because they want to be liked and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden somebody's overwhelmed. Now, as a leader, you have your 10% as the leader, but you don't need to take the full responsibility if something doesn't go right? So if you're in agreement together, then don't leave anybody behind, including the boss.
How many times has a boss been left behind?
Times.
How many times has a boss been left behind at the end of the day sweeping the floor, Luke, when all the kids have gone home from the workshop?
Yeah, and that's really well said, Addie. I think some of the points that you said, like ultimately, there is a difference between leadership and the organisation and team, and as leaders, we're ultimately responsible for the performance of the team. So I'm the coach, I'm the leader, I'm responsible for that. But also, we need to be able to find a place in the organisation for those team members to be the best that they can be. Yeah, so that's part of the leadership, and this is what Annie was talking about as well. But people don't work hard for the organisation; they work hard for each other. Yeah, so they value the contribution and the purpose they have as a team rather than working individually for the company. So finding that essence is is paramount. So and I think that's important.
Awesome.
We need to be close and have that connection and find that purpose for sure.
Thank you, Luke. That's great.
Do you want to use Blair's example, because that is one of the?
I'm very happy.
I've got a question around this.
Sorry, Annie.
You don't mind me asking, and it's going to take us over time. If David's happy to go over time,
Sure.
and Bridge.
Sorry, Annie. I'll speak to you after about that. Go on, Tara.
The question is, in the case of, let's say, Luke's business or his charity. Let's say Luke's established his charity. He's got his core team.
Yes.
Right? His foundational team of board or contributors or what have you. Then you bring a new team member in. That code of conduct's already established. It's then probably challenging for some leaders and business owners to then, how do you get that person, the new person in the team, to have their buy-in and have their say on the code of conduct when it's already agreed on?
Yep, I hear that, and I've seen that in action on many occasions. And the induction is very important, because people are handed that code of honor straight away. Is there anything in here that you do not agree with? Is there anything in here that you cannot abide to? Is there anything in here that does not make sense? Are you willing to agree to these?
Yeah.
Yes, wonderful. Are you willing to sign your name to that? Yes, awesome. Once you've done that, we understand that you are going to take responsibility for all of those things that you've agreed to. Do you understand that? And they go, yes, or they go, see ya. because that's when responsibility for their 10%, as Annie was saying, becomes paramount straight away. And if they're not willing to play the game at that level, they'll piss off.
Yeah,
They won't last.
Yeah.
Because they know that everyone else has also signed that piece of paper. They know that everyone else has also agreed to be responsible for that. And subsequently, it makes everyone, it takes the level. Somebody mentioned earlier on, it's raising the level, it's raising the bar. I don't know who mentioned that. Maybe somebody didn't. But it becomes a principle for the business to live by.
Yeah. In that scenario you just played out, David, my mind goes straight to, well, in those situations when you're engaging in your team, when you're getting them to understand all this, you need to play out examples or explain examples of how that looks.
Yep,
because
I
people
understand.
often just tokenism agree, yeah. But when they hear and can see examples of what that looks like in a workplace or in a team, whether it be
my question here is,
in
Annie,
video
for a
or
second.
stories.
My question here is, who's going to do the induction, Tara? Do you think the boss does it, or do you think the team does it? Do the team speak from their experience?
Yeah.
We love being part of this team because this is what happens. And when John doesn't do the right thing, we go up to John and say, hey, John, mate, this is a way we suggest you do it. Let us show you how, so then you can do it afterwards. Is that all right with you, mate? No, it's not all right. What's wrong, John? Tell us about it. Is there something going on at home? No, there's nothing going on at home. So, okay, so the mate said, then just focus and so we can show you what's going to happen. And we'll watch you for the next couple of days to make sure you've got it. And if you haven't got it, then we'll come back to you again. And at that point in time, we're going to ask you this one question. Are you okay? What's going on, John? Is there something happening at home? I'm just using that as I'm role playing this now. And all of a sudden, John starts to realize that, holy mackerel, these guys actually care what I'm doing. They care about more what I'm doing than I care about what I'm doing. Wow, can I do that? And then John's going to become the person to do the next lot of induction. And every time somebody goes through that induction role, they become more and more and more enamored about
trust,
what they're doing.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's like it's a
trust.
It's evoking it, living it. Annie, you're going to say something.
Yes, Annie.
I think David explained it in a very different way, but like when I thought I'll give an example. When I start coaching with somebody, we have a code of honor for the program. And I ask them what I read them the line, and then I go, so tell me, what does that mean to you? So once you know what it means to them, now either it's close to what it actually means to the company, or just say, okay, well, in this situation, this is what it means, right? So so then they're already involved from moment go. And the other thing that I wanted to sort of say, like when people get interviewed, you know, they get so many people like really prepare for interviews to look really smart and to know everything about the company and all that kind of stuff this day and age. Whereas, don't you just want to know the person? The resume already tells you what they know, right? So shouldn't you discover who the person is rather than asking them where you don't want to be in 10 years' time? If somebody would ask me that, I would just say alive.
Alive.
That's it. I'd love to be alive.
In 10 years. All right. I'll ask you that in 10 years. I'm going to mark a note on my anniversary in 10 years' time. Bridgie, you're my witness. We're going to ask Annie because she'll be around still. She's our long time friend, not a short time friend, a long time friend. Are you alive? He's like, I'm alive.
Yes.
So I was going to bring up, who's seen that movie, A Few Good Men?
Yep.
Who knows that courtroom scene at the end?
You can't handle the truth.
You want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Who knows that one? I was going to finish off with that and play it, but you know what? It's already 9 o'clock. I've got dessert on the kitchen table and I want to go and spend the rest of my anniversary with my wife. So if there is anything that anyone would like to share as a burning last minute, and it's 9:04. So we've gone a little bit over from what I was expecting. I apologize, everyone,
We
for
expect that
going
from you
over.
anyway.
And I'm apologizing to Bridget for going over, darling. I'm sorry. However, does anyone have anything that they would like to share? Less than 10 seconds each. Why don't we actually go around the whole screen? I'm going to go by the order that I see you in, if that's okay. So Tara, what would you like to say? 10 seconds.
Thank you, David, for giving a different perspective on Code of Honour than I thought it was going to be, and to tie it in really nicely with what Ross covered last week. And I think Bridge had a beautiful question for Russ. So, yeah.
I saw that come up. I was going to bring that up a bit later on. Thank you, Tara. I appreciate your words of kindness. Annie, you're next.
This was just really fabulous. So thank you, David.
Thank you, Annie.
And thank you, Bridget, for coming.
Thank you. Alistair, thank you, Annie.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good to see you. Good to hear from you.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. Luke.
Yes. Oh, look, happy anniversary. Be awesome. Have a great night. I really thank you for tonight. And I just really love the way that you do pull the conversation out of everybody. And I think that for you yourself, you shine and rise off, you know what I mean, others, and there's that real deep sense of wisdom, you know, that higher sort of level of wisdom that comes from having these types of conversations within the group. So appreciate tonight and enjoy your anniversary, guys.
Thank you. Now,
Much
Luke,
love.
you've got another 60 seconds, Luke, because I'm enjoying that. Keep it going. Come on.
I can't. My godly voice is gone. It's Melbourne Cup Day tomorrow, and we're going to have a bit of a day off. I've been told my daughter, my 7-year-old's going to wake up and steal the keyboard and mouse because Dad's not doing any work tomorrow.
Fantastic. I love that. Well done. Thank you, Luke.
Thank
Bridgie,
you.
you're next on my round, people. Put the kettle on.
What am I sharing exactly?
Just anything.
Oh,
Your
10
take on
seconds
what
of
it is.
wisdom.
10 seconds.
well, I do
unless
have
you
a
got-
question I'd love to know, and it doesn't have to be answered now, but I'm curious as to, does this group have a code of honour? And if not, why not? And thank you. It was a gorgeous night.
Thank
We
you, Bridgie.
certainly have
Thank you, brother.
a vision, and I would say that it kind of incorporates a bit of a code of honour in there, but there's nothing that we've actually called that. Would you agree, Alistair?
We have not got anything called a code of honour.
No.
Fantastic. Would you like to have one?
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Excellent.
reckon.
Well, we'll talk
Yeah.
about that another night after my anniversary. Jerry, your 10 seconds of wisdom.
Just thank you. It was a great follow on from last week, and just got me even thinking just to that next level on teams and everything like that. So it's something that I'm busily building at the moment. So yeah, it's perfect
Fantastic.
timing.
Thank you. So my last 10 seconds, which will probably go for about a minute, is I just want to thank you, everyone, for playing full out tonight. You know, I invite people to play, and you guys rise to the occasion every time. And I really appreciate that. Imagine if we could be in our workplaces and this was the level of conversation that was happening all the time.
Yeah, good
Absolutely.
point.
Imagine the productivity that we could actually produce within our teams if we were able to work at this level all the time.
Or at least 80 to 90%. Yeah.
Who would be happy with 20% increase? Who would be
Yeah.
happy with a 10% increase? You know what? So just raising that bar a little, and this code of honor is something that can actually assist you in doing that.
So thank you, David. I just want to put something out there to the group, because we're all here, and even though we're still live, as Bridge politely and rightly pointed out, we don't have a code of honor between us. So why don't we allow David to take this to the next level next week, and we work on it, show people live how to create a code of honor next week in next week's session. If David's happy to do that.
I thank you for the invitation. I'm going to say that 1 hour is not enough time for that. I'm going to say that 1 hour is definitely not enough time. I've seen it done the fastest. And mind you, this was done within a group of 50 people, of people that are very contextualized in the scenario of creating these codes of honor. The fastest I've seen it done was about 4 hours. Now, we can do better than that, can't we? We can do it faster than that. I know we can, because we're all
Well,
really...
more people takes longer.
It does, but more people, you also break it up into groups, because then you actually have 5 rules that you're trying to create, and you've got 5 groups of 10 creating that.
Well, I'd like to challenge you, David, because I think you can do it. However, instead of doing, like this was a great conversation and lots of questions, I think it would be great for you to step into teaching and just go, okay, do this as, or not facilitating, and get it done. Okay. So
yeah, and have us do some prep work ready for coming to the session, ready to
everybody can bring
discuss.
their, so here's homework. I'll give you homework. Everybody, you write down your top 5 values and what they all mean to you. So have it ready by next week. I
am not agreeing to next week, guys. Just so we know that, online, live on Facebook, next Monday night, I am committed elsewhere.
Right.
However, it's not saying that it won't happen in this forum. It will happen, and I promise it will happen. Next week it won't, but you can still do that homework that Annie was suggesting, because I'm happy to discuss it with you individually as well, because we all have businesses. And we can all utilize this sort of thing for our own businesses and for self. My other business is the business of being, besides emphasis. And it all comes down to how you want to be, how you want to show up. And you know what? I would love to do this group. It won't be next Monday night, because as I said, I am already committed. So Tara, I appreciate the offer. Annie, I appreciate the challenge. No deal. Yet.
I haven't finished what I was going to say.
You got more homework for them?
No, but what I wanted to say is that when we did the goal setting, we did 90 minutes. And I actually believe that you could smash this out in 90 minutes, David, whenever that time will be. Because the experience that you had, that went extremely deep. Whereas just for I believe what we need, I think you already set it up so well today, the concepts and the being and the psychology of it, that next time you just facilitate you do this
process thereof. Okay, challenge accepted. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, everyone give David the clap. 1, 2, 3. Guys, I'm going to call it quits. I accept the challenge. Tara, I accept the offer. Luke, thank you for all of your wonderful words of encouragement and wisdom.
You're welcome, mate.
Reflective. All of this is reflective, guys. It's all reflections. I'm seeing what you see in the same picture. And so I just want to say, I see that in me. Everyone do that. Grab your hands, put them on your chest like that, and say, I see it in me.
I see it in me.
I see it in
And then point it out and say, I see it in you. I want to see your fingers in the
See it in
screen.
you.
I want to see them in the screen.
I see
I
you.
own you.
I own you.
I own you.
All right, that's something that comes from Tony Robbins, from Unleash the Power Within. You go up to people and you say, I own you. And you say it loud, and you say it really obnoxiously, and then you get your finger like this and you spin it around and around. You see my antlers up there like that, my antlers. You get your fingers and you spin them around, then you go, I own you. And you stick your fingers up your nose. So how many of you would love to be able to be silly in your workplace and have a lot of fun?
I am all the time.
That's all right.
Be silly.
Your fingers up
The
your nose.
camera evidence.
No, I just say to clients, I'm here to pick up a Hessian sack with $1 million in a Hessian sack, please. And they just look at me going, what? So look, I'll take a plastic bag, but I still want the $1 million. And they just go, what's this guy talking about?
I'll take plastic.
I'll take plastic. Fantastic plastic. Guys, we're out of here. everybody start to wave and sing the song. La 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 la.
Bye,
la,
David.
la,
Bye,
la, la, la.
Have a
We'll
safe
see you back here
day.
next week for
Thank you,
All for
Bridge.
One
Have a
and One
lovely
for
rest
All.
of the evening.
Say
Blessings all.
goodnight
Put your
Right.
details
and
in the
I'll miss you
Facebook notes down below, and Jerry will get back to you because she's the get back to people person.
tomorrow.
All right.
I'll kiss you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Remember, I'll
Can we
Always
stay on,
be
the rest of
here.
us, for a minute?
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Stop recording.
Oh,
Hold
stop.
on.